Hello kids, how are you? Hope everyone is doing pretty much fine. In this case, we're going to start our fourth bimester, which is happily the last one before you get graduated, even though we are right now living a very hard condition uh, around the world. But hopefully we are going to succeed in this new stage of our lives. So the book that we are going to be reading is Animal Farm from George Orwell's. I'm going to be uploading the PDF format of the book on your Google Classroom, and I hope that you start reading chapters 1 and 2 all during this week. Eric Blair was born and spent his youth in India. He was educated at Eton in England, and from 1922 to 1927 he served in the Indian Imperial Police in Burma. Throughout his autobiographical work about poverty in London, his experiences in colonial Burma, and in the Spanish Civil War and the plight of unemployed coal miners in England, Blair, who wrote under the name George Orwell, exposed and critiqued the human tendency to oppress others politically, economically, and physically. Orwell particularly hated totalitarianism, and his most famous novels, Animal Farm and 1984, are profound condemnations of totalitarian regimes. Orwell died at the age of 47 after failing to treat a lung ailment. Trying to go backwards and understanding the historical context of this book, well, we can say that in 1917, two successive revolutions rocked Russia and the rest of the world. The first revolution overthrew the Russian monarchy, the Tsar, and the second established the USSR, the world's first communist state. Over the next 30 years, the Soviet government descended into a totalitarian regime that used and manipulated socialist ideas of equality among the working class to oppress its people and maintain power. Animal Farm is an allegory of the Russian Revolution and the Communist Soviet Union. Many of the animal characters in Animal Farm have direct correlations to figures or institutions in the Soviet Union. The full title of this book is Animal Farm. It was written between 1944 and 1945 in England. It was published in 1945, and the literary period is modernism. The genre, allegorical novel. The setting, a farm somewhere in England in the first half of the 20th century. The climax, you're going to be reading about that, and hopefully you get to identify pretty much well, is when the pigs appear standing upright and the sheep bleat. 4 legs good, 2 legs better. The antagonist, Napoleon specifically, but the pigs and the dogs as groups are all antagonists. The point of view of the book is written in third person. As you go around and through the book, you are going to be finding many themes. Some examples of these are totalitarianism, the revolution and corruption as well. You are going to be able to identify class warfare, language as power. You are going to be understanding, and hopefully you get to read besides about the Soviet Union, and also the failure of intellect and the exploitation of animals by humans. Eventually, you are going to be able to identify other types of themes from the book, and we're going to be discussing that when we get to there. So at the end of this time, you are going to be able to download your PDF book, which is going to be put on your Google Classroom space. And after you download it, you are free to be reading it on your computers or on your cell phones, tablets, or even if you have the opportunity, you can print the papers. Obviously, this book is not a long one. It is like about 55 pages. So eventually you are going to be having the opportunity to print it as well. So for this week, because our next class is going to be on Friday the 17th, you are going to be reading chapters number 1 and number 2, and eventually during the week you are going to be checking on your Google Classroom platform, because I'm going to be writing some questions about these two chapters, and hopefully we get to discuss them on our next class on Friday. Thank you very much and hope you are doing very fine.